Good evening. I am Kamau Kujichagulia, and this is On the Case with Kamau Kujichagulia, where each week we talk with someone, a local personage or a person from the state of New Jersey or from anywhere around the world, you never know, about issues that affect the Trenton community, the African American community, and the Black community worldwide. So we're going to be speaking a little bit later on with a truly great brother, Larry Hamm from the P.O.P, People's Organization for Progress, which is comes out of Montclair, Newark area, and he's been an organizer and an advocate for social justice for 40, 50 years, maybe. I don't know, but for a long while. His work has been very substantial. We're going to talk with him in a bit. Before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about mental health for Black people, because we've come to a point where we have to acknowledge that our mental health is not as strong and as clear as it could be, and that we need to talk it out. We need to talk with counselors, people who are trained in that area. The problem with that is that, when Black people want to talk about their mental health, they want to talk about their problems, they want to talk with somebody who is cognizant, who is aware, who is feeling, who is empathetic with what we do feel. And unfortunately, in the mental health community, most of the counselors are white people. Most of them are white women, and it makes me uncomfortable, because I don't want to. I've worked with and been around white people for many 75 years, and I've read up on their history, and for centuries, but for the last about 400 years, their history towards people of color has not been one that suggests that they're all that interested in our well-being. So when I want to talk with a counselor about my mental health status, I want to talk with somebody who I can trust has my best interest at heart. And I just don't believe that a maybe white supremacist would have my best interest at heart. And another thing I found out that about mental health is that, it doesn't take into account racism. It hasn't pinpointed racism as a mental or psychological or medical cause of some of our disorder. And that's problematic, because racism is real. Racism is very real to the victims, and it's also very real to the perpetrators. They know exactly what they're doing. And to say that, medically, psychological medicine, that racism can't be used as a marker of our mental health is, that's very upsetting. So just wanted to say that. But we do need to deal with our mental health, and there are Black and Latino and Asian counselors out there that we can reach out to and that we should reach out to, because our community is in serious need of getting a mental checkup, so to speak. I want to bring on my son, Michael. I got many sons. Hello, Michael Harmon. How are you?
What's up, Pop? How are you?
I'm. I don't know. I don't. Like I was speaking before the show, I was talking about reparations. That I'm not. I'm not all that confident that we're ever going to get reparations. At least any reparations that can seriously do some work, some good works for us. So I'm not really doing all that well. My mental health is not, my mental state isn't all that great right now, but I'm hanging in there. How you doing?
Um, I'm doing well. My mental health probably could be a lot better, and I agree with you that we do need to find people that we can talk to, therapists, psychologists, whatever, to discuss our mental health and our mental well-being. Um, I've had an experience with a white therapist, and within the first 2 minutes of meeting her, I knew right then and there she couldn't do anything for me, and I walked out of the office. So I understand what you're talking about as far as mental health and not having the resources available to us to be able to, help our mental health.
Our sister Wanda Webster Stansberry is with us this evening. Isn't that wonderful? And as you can see on the screen, that she's also joining into this mental health, racism as a public health and mental health factor. You know, so it is. Yeah, it is the root cause of the current mental crisis we face as Black people from slavery to today. It. But the only thing wrong, like I was saying earlier, the only thing wrong with that is that it isn't recognized by the health insurance industry. So they won't. If you there's no such thing as a diagnosis of racism. Which is insane. Anyway, that's a different subject. We want to talk to our brother this evening. We want to hear from this remarkable man, brother Lawrence Larry Hamm. How are you this evening, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you? I'm glad
great.
to finally get through to you.
Got that mic fixed out.
Yeah, I got it straightened out.
Well, I'm glad. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Okay.
How are you?
Well, like I said, I'm hanging. I'm hanging in there. I'm a little bit discouraged right now, but we're gonna get to that in a minute. First, let me introduce Brother Larry Hamm. And brother, for people who don't know you or just want to hear a little bit more about you, why don't you tell us something about give us a background about you?
Well, I hail from Newark, New Jersey. I'm a product of Newark Public Schools, and I've been in the struggle for racial, social, economic justice for 52 years. Since I was 17 years old, I led my first demonstration at 17, and I have been on this path ever since. I was greatly influenced by Amiri Baraka at the time that I met him in 1971. He was Imamu Baraka. I was appointed to the Newark Board of Education at the age of 17, and I think I still hold the record as the youngest fully empowered voting school board member in the United States. But it was a product of the struggle. My appointment to the board was an outcome of the struggle. It was also a sign of the times. I mean, I think, Kamau, you and I both are children of the Black Power movement, and Newark was very much in the van of that movement. I did go on after my school board term, 3-year term. I went back to Princeton University, where I graduated in 1978 undergraduate school. And while at Princeton, I was a leader of the anti-apartheid movement on Princeton's campus. A movement, by the way, which went on for a number of years, getting really underway around 1975, and it really continued on almost to into the 1980s, really, because that struggle was continued by other classes that were behind us. I returned to Newark in 1980. I organized the People's Energy Cooperative, which was a 400 family fuel oil co-op to bulk purchase home heating oil and bring down the prices for the fuel and also for the service contracts. And then in 1982, we organized the People's Organization for Progress, which this year sees its 52nd anniversary. P.O.P is an all-volunteer grassroots organization that has been fighting for racial, social, and economic justice since it was founded. It's a multi-issue organization. We've probably touched upon almost every major issue affecting the Black community. But people probably associate us most with the struggle against police brutality, which goes on unabated because police brutality has not disappeared. It has not diminished despite the conviction of Officer Chauvin and his colleagues in the murder of George Floyd. In fact, the police have killed more people every year since George Floyd's death in 2020. And they are on pace to even break their record this year in 2023, after setting a record in 2022, 1,192 people killed by the police. So that's a little bit about me. I'm just a street corner agitator.
And you're a hell of a street corner agitator too. That's for sure.
Thank you, bro.
Being on the police thing, just recently, last week, there was a brother up north somewhere, an activist who was killed.
Yes, his name was Najee Seabrooks, and he was in mental distress. This is not new. And as you know, what usually happens is when someone is in mental distress, one of our family members will call the police for help. And they came and they helped him in the only way that they knew possible. They killed him. And the masses of people flooded the streets of Patterson yesterday, just yesterday. In fact, there were two major actions. There was a prayer vigil that was attended by hundreds of people. I was there. And then after the prayer vigil, there was a march on City Hall with hundreds and hundreds. I mean, I don't even want to guess how many. I know when I was standing on the steps of City Hall looking out, it looked like a sea of people. And then the leaders of that action was the Black Lives Matter Patterson chapter under the leadership of Brother Zelly Thomas, and also under the leadership of the Patterson Healing Collective, which was the group that Najee Seabrooks belonged to. He was an anti-violence activist, someone who had worked with the police to de-escalate situations just like his own. So the police knew them. And when Najee was in distress, he texted them and asked them to come and to help him. And they came, but the police would not let them interact with him. So they went in and helped the way that they knew, and that was to kill him. And this comes on the heels of another exact same incident in Englewood, New Jersey. We've been demonstrating in Englewood, also North Jersey, a little further north. Patterson is in Passaic County. Bergen is beyond Patterson. And in Bergen County in Englewood, the Englewood police shot and killed 22-year-old Bernard Placide, shot him in his own bedroom, killed him in his own bedroom in his mother's house. So we've been demonstrating, we've been going up to city council meetings every month since he was killed in September. And so right on the heels of that, we have the situation with Najee Seabrooks.
What are the status of the officers at this point?
Well, the officers at this point are on administrative leave, but they still getting paid. They like on vacation. They on leave, they getting paid, you know, and they probably using this time to get their legal strategy together. You know, how they gonna fight this, because there is an uproar in Patterson, brother. I saw broad unity. Now, I'm not saying every community leader, and I'm not saying every organization, but I saw a broad cross-section of the Black community in Patterson yesterday. All the religious leaders came out, the various anti-violence groups in Patterson, and anti-violence activists came from other cities. They came from Newark, they came from Plainfield, they came from other cities. I saw the religious leaders. Everyone was on one accord, calling for these officers to be fired and to be prosecuted. These guys should be fired. Never let any city official tell you again that they can't do anything, because we saw what happened in Memphis, didn't we? In Memphis, Tennessee, when they beat that brother to death, Tyree Nichols, a world record was set. The city of Memphis fired them cops and had them charged with homicide, with murder in 16 days. So, you know, this line they always give us, oh, we can't fire them. We have to adhere to the contract. We must give them due process. You see what happened in Memphis. Let that be a lesson to people. When these cops kill our people, call for them to be fired. Be fired without pay. Fired. Not on leave, not on desk duty, not on force without their gun. No, fired. Because I'm telling you, if one of us went out tonight and killed somebody and our job heard about it, we'd be fired.
I think that's a clear message. Clear message.
You know, I mean, man, people got to wake up and see what time it is. Although I have to say, a lot of people are woke. You know, I went to Patterson yesterday, the outpouring I saw. Let me tell you something. I'm 69 years old. I was 12 when the rebellion in Newark happened in 1967. The fiery spirit, the fury that I saw in 1967, I saw it in Patterson last night. And the city officials, the mayor and the city council, they should go to church tonight and get down on their knees in the pews and thank God Almighty that there was not an uprising in Patterson last night. We marched, as I said, under the leadership of the Patterson Healing Collective and Black Lives Matter. We marched from the city hall to the police fortress. I don't call it a headquarters. If you've ever seen the Frank X. Graves police headquarters of Patterson, it looks like a fortress. It ain't one of these old early 20th century buildings like we got in Newark and you got in Trenton. This is a brand new fortress. And we marched there, and the masses went there and raised hell and then marched back to City Hall. I'm telling you, it was on last night. And, you know, I had to be on alert because the last time I was in Patterson which was just in a couple of years ago in 2020, I was there in a protest for Jameek Lowry that the police had beat to death. And there was a little bit of an uprising. It got real jiggy out there. In fact, the brother that led from the BLM that led the protest, Nellie Thomas, the brother that led the protest last night, he got arrested. I don't know how, but he got his cell phone into the jail. Like, he had his cell phone in the cell. Zelly and this other brother named Hawk Newsom from New York were in the same cell together. They were doing Facebook Live from their jail cell. They did a video letter from a Birmingham jail. They did a 21st letter from a 21st century letter from a Birmingham jail. But the police, see, were shrewd. They're not stupid.
Oh, no.
You know, not all of them. Some of them are stupid. But the leadership is shrewd. So they took a whole different approach because they were very confrontational when we came up there a couple of years ago for Jameek Lowry. I think we were up there in 2021. We were up there in 21 for Jameek Lowry. And they were very confrontational, and that confrontation led to an outbreak. But it was minor. You know, it wasn't, some people got arrested. I don't even think there was any vandalism. The cops just swooped up some people, but I'm telling you, last night I called for the feds to come in and take over the Patterson Police Department, do the same thing they did in Newark. Come in, put in place a consent decree, and put a federal monitor over them. And maybe that'll straighten some, because Patterson got a problem. Every other week, the Patterson Police Department is in the newspaper for corruption, for hit and runs. They hit and run this, Jacqueline Fields. We were up there protesting for him a couple of years ago. Cop hit him and kept moving. Hit and run, hit and kill, killed him and kept going. What would happen to you if you hit and run? I've been coming to Patterson, Brother Kamau, since 1995. I came to Patterson in 1995 when they killed 16-year-old Lawrence Myers. In the legal jargon, what you have in Patterson is a pattern and practice of police abuse and corruption. The Justice Department needs to come in and do an investigation. They need to put a consent decree in place. And a federal judge needs to put an independent federal monitor over the Patterson Police Department.
Have they made national news with these killings?
I don't know about national, but regional. ABC, CBS, NBC, all broadcast stories yesterday. Man, you would have thought the president was in Patterson yesterday at the prayer vigil. It looked like the presidential press conference. Every major news station in Jersey was there. They were all lined up, a whole battery of TV cameras out at 100 Hamilton Plaza. That's where the Patterson Healing Collective, they have a office in that building. So they had the press conference and prayer vigil out there on the plaza, and then from there marched to City Hall. But it's going to be interesting to see how this thing unfolds. Jersey is off the hook. People be looking at New York. They be looking at Memphis. We got Tyree Nichols. We got Breonna Taylor. We got George Floyd. We got Ahmaud Arbery. Every one of them national cases, we got a case just like that in New Jersey.
Now, I know you've been trying to get a community review board passed the legislature. How would that help, and how is that going?
Well, I believe a police review board, and they want to call it, they call it a civilian complaint review board. I actually have problems with that title. I think it should be police accountability board or police review board. How you gonna have a board that's supposed to hold the police accountable that don't even have the police name in it? You know, you know that had to be some kind of compromise. You know, it need to be a police accountability board. You know, let's call it what it is. But anyway, Mayor Baraka, when he was elected, when he ran for mayor in 2014, he ran on a promise that he would create a police review board in Newark if he became mayor, something that his father had been fighting for since 1967. Do you know that the people in Newark have been demanding a police review board since 1960? The first Black city councilman elected in the 350-year history of Newark. His name was Irvine Turner. And when he was elected, Black people was catching hell from the police, and he called for a police review board in Newark. In 1963, George Richardson, one of the first Black men elected to the New Jersey State Assembly from Newark, put in a bill for a police review board. Amiri Baraka called for it after the uprising in 1967. So Ras Baraka kept his promise. He established a police review board with subpoena power, but keep in mind, this was after a 2-year investigation by the Justice Department. We called for the Justice Department to come in to Newark in 2011 to do an investigation. They came in 2012 and did a 2-year investigation. Ras Baraka was elected took office in July of 2014. 2 weeks after he was elected, the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Paul Fishman, issued his report on the investigation. And he said a number of things, but one of his top 4 recommendations was that the police in Newark needed civilian oversight. This is what the Justice Department representative said. The U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, that's the Justice Department representative. So Ras Baraka established first a police review board through executive order. As soon as he established the police review board, what happened? The Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 12, goes into State Superior Court to file suit to stop the police review board in Newark. They won in State Superior Court. The mayor fought back. His council moved it up to appeals court. The city won in appeals court, but the police weren't satisfied. They took it all the way to the state Supreme Court. And the state Supreme Court said that Newark could create a police review board, but only the state legislature could give it subpoena power. So shortly after that, a bill was introduced to give towns and cities the power to create police review boards with subpoena power if they want it. That bill has gone nowhere. Now, if this was Washington, D.C., what would we be saying? We'd be saying that the Republican obstructionists are blocking police reform. What do you say in New Jersey?
That's right.
Where there is a Democratic governor.
That's right.
Where Democrats control the state assembly.
That's right.
Our majority in the assembly, our majority in the Senate. What do you say?
That's right.
You say that the Democratic leadership,
that's right,
to which Black people have given more than 90% of their vote.
That's right.
In every gubernatorial election, that these Democrats are blocking the creation of something that Black people want. This is a real serious problem.
It is.
Now, I'm gonna tell you for I don't, what's that term, to be completely transparent. I voted Democrat. I voted for Biden. I voted for Murphy. I voted Democrat in the general election. In the primaries, I voted for Bernie Sanders. But when the final round was over and Biden was standing, I said, okay, we got to defeat Trump. And I said the same thing with Murphy. We got to defeat Chitterelli because Chitterelli was Trump light here in New Jersey. But we're not getting anything for our vote.
Nothing.
They give us the crumbs, the easy stuff, the low-hanging fruit.
That's right.
We need these cops continue to kill with impunity because they know they can get away with it. And until there are measures in place that make it absolutely clear to them that this will no longer be tolerated, that they could lose their gun, their badge, their license, maybe their pension and their job, and maybe their freedom. That's when you're gonna see a decline in police brutality. So they do all the little stuff. Okay, you can have access to the records, you can have access to their rap sheet or whatever the police, their records and transfer, and we're gonna license the police. That's low-hanging fruit. I don't disagree with that, but it's not a training issue. People keep talking about training. It's not training. You could give them classes all day long and they will continue to kill us. They will stop killing us when they know there is a price to pay. Let these settlements come out of their pension money instead of coming out of the taxpayers' pocket. I bet you they stop then. I bet you, oh no, I want my pension. I want my pension, No. So this police review board with subpoena power bill, that's at the top of our agenda. And all these people, when they come through the community at election time, talking about vote for us, you better ask them, what is your position on the police review board? What is your position?
Yes,
especially the white Democrats, because I think most of the black Democrats will say they're for it. But it's really being held up by these white Democrats who are Democrats in word, but Republican in deed, because they're carrying out the Republic. You know why we don't have a police review board anywhere in the state of New Jersey? Newark is 9 miles. That's all. Newark is 9 miles from New York City. New York City has had a police review board since 1966. It has subpoena power, it has investigatory power, and it has disciplinary power. Why don't we have that in Jersey? Because the elected officials listen more to the police that are less than 1% of the population than they do to the people, the black people who have given them 90% of their vote. We can't get a police review board. We can't get a reparations bill, not even a reparations payment bill. We can't even get the damn task force. We can't get the police review board. We can't get the reparations task force. We can't get same-day registration in this state controlled by Democrats. Somebody got to talk about this.
Yeah, you're right.
And we got to talk about it in the right places when these people come to us, from the district leaders all the way up to the mayor. You want to run for district leader? What are you going to do to get the police review board, to get the reparations bill, and to get same-day voter registration? What are you going to do? What are you going to do, district leader? What are you going to do, councilman? What are you going to do, mayor? What are you going to do, county executive? What are you going to do, board of commissioner member? What are you going to do? Don't come in here talking about, well, I've been in the community so many years and everybody know me and they know I love the people. No, what's the agenda? What's the agenda?
I think, if you taste the pudding, you know what the agenda is. Okay? I mean, it's been that way for forever. Whether we deal with Democrats, whether we deal with Republicans, it is never anything that is going to support Black people getting their equal rights.
Right.
And, you look at
look,
school,
it's time for us. It's time for us to get assertive. You know, we need some of that old time religion, brother.
You're right.
That old time Black power religion.
You're right.
The people have become too complacent, too apathetic, don't want to fight, too comfort corrupt, too hopeless. We got to break out of this. Our whole history shows that we make progress when we get at least some degree of unity and we have some agreement on what needs to be done, and then we go and get it done. That's how we got rid of slavery. That's how we got rid of Jim Crow. That's how we got Black power. We've had 50 years of Black power. It's been 55. April 4th will be the 55th year of the assassination of Martin Luther King, 1968. We've had 55 years of Black power, and we're in worse shape today. Now,
oh, wait, say that again, please. What you say?
And we're in worse shape.
And this is a man who has been out there for 52 years. Listen to it. Listen to
Let me
it.
tell you, I had more influence as a high school student leader than I have right now, because it was the times. Let me tell you something. Without a cell phone,
right.
without a high-speed copier, without a laptop, we would have marches. We would empty out 4 and 5 high schools in a day and march down on the Board of Education and demand Black studies and sit in at the hotel across the street from Penn Station. I had more influence at 17 than I have now because we were more ready then. We were ready. We wanted to fight as high school students. You know, my fellow high school students were more advanced than I was. I was like, when I was like a freshman in high school, I was like the Black Archie. Probably most of the viewers don't know Archie comics, you know, but I was like the Black Archie. I had the varsity sweater with the varsity letter, and I was captain of the track team and head of the student government. And then one day we had this teacher strike. It ended up being the longest teacher strike in history. Then all of a sudden, all the seniors who had already, they told us if we missed 35 days of school, we're not going to graduate. All the seniors turned around. Larry, what you going to do about it? All of a sudden all of a sudden stuff got real serious. It got real serious. You know, it wasn't no more about the Halloween party and the UNICEF collection and all that stuff. It got real serious. You had a student government. What you gonna do about us graduating? We voted for you. Now you got to do something. And that's really how I started with this. And here I am 52 years later. But what I'm saying is that we have been like walking on, what are those things you walk on, the exercise thing, a treadmill. We've kind of been walking on a treadmill since 1968. You know, maybe even, you know, how sometimes in the, you know, the treadmill throw people backwards, you know, you know, we've probably been like that. We got to assert ourselves. Black people got to assert ourselves. We have to become more assertive.
Are we scared? Have we been terrorized?
I think some people are scared, but I don't really think fear is the issue. I think people are narcotized. And I don't just mean by drugs. I mean, they're narcotized by popular culture. You know, it's like a narcotic. You know, I mean, remember, in a capitalist system, the institutions, the culture reinforce the capitalist system. You know, and so the capitalist system is not going to make you become aware to destroy it. You know, it's not going to do that. Okay. I mean, how did Malcolm went to prison? That's where he got his first consciousness raised, his awareness. They said the awareness of self, and studying the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He didn't get it in a university. He didn't get it in school. He got it outside of that structure. And I think that a lot of us have become narcotized. A lot of us have bought into capitalist mythology. I mean, look at the black people. They all went and hide. They all hide now because it's clear that Trump is a fascist. He always was a racist. He was sued by the Justice Department for housing discrimination in his apartments. But now it's clear that he's a straight up Nazi. He's made his bed with the, you know, that quote, that thing he said the other day, "I will be your retribution." That's a quote from Hitler. I mean, they going right to Mein Kampf. For those that don't know, Mein Kampf was Hitler's autobiography. And they're just lifting the language right out of there, you know? And so, you know, when Trump was running for president, all these black, not all the black ministers, but he had his little group of black ministers that was around him, praying over him and all this stuff. And then the black rappers were coming, you know, "I want to meet with Trump. Trump is, you know, my man. We gonna make deals," you know. And a lot of us have become so narcotized by this whole thing that you know, it's hard for us. But then lightning strikes. Najee Seabrooks, that's lightning, because he was well loved by his community. You should have seen all the young people that was out there.
Now you say that the police responded differently than they did a couple of years ago. How did they respond?
Well, a couple of years ago, they tried to confront the protesters. Like, we wanted to march in the street. They wanted us to be on the sidewalk. We wanted to go one way. They wanted us to go another way. And they literally was pushing up against us. And that's how stuff got jiggy out there a couple of years ago. This year, the police, you wouldn't even know they was there. They were there. They were there. But they laid back because they knew that there would probably be a bigger explosion. So even when we marched to the police station, you know, the lobby is all glass. So they came out, they were looking at us, you know, we was looking at them, cussing them out, you know, but they held back. So there was no incident, there was no violence, and there was no vandalism. And that's good, because the headlines have all been positive for Najee. See, if there had been a uprising and a lot of stores would have been broken into, car windows, cars overturned, that would have been the story. But all the stories today, if you Google Najee Seabrooks, almost all the coverage has been favorable to him. I mean, he don't know it because he's dead, but you understand the point I'm trying to make.
Right. Now, okay, now let's get back a little bit to these Democrats. Now, this is John Lewis Voting Rights Act of New Jersey that you're trying to get passed.
Right.
If that is passed, how does that help us with these Democrats who aren't, you know, doing what they're supposed to do with us?
Well, if it's passed, it helps us get more people registered, and it helps to keep behavior that would prevent us from casting our votes. You see, this voter suppression also has a northern manifestation. It's not just in Alabama. You know, it's here. See, you got to read the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Do you know that they name cities and states in the North as well as in the South, like New York City, like Queens, New York? So this John Lewis Voting Rights Act is designed to facilitate people's ability to cast their vote and to stop any attempted interference. We support that. And, you know, I was in Trenton. That's where I ran into Al. You know, Al and I go way back because I used to, you know, Kamau, I used to work in Trenton. I think, Kamau, you and I must go all the way back to the 80s.
Yeah, we
right?
do. Yeah.
That's right. We when I was organizing the statewide Black Student Association, we were trying to unify all the Black student organizations on all the college campuses. I think that's when I met you, because that's when I started coming to Trenton. Yep. You know, I was still at Princeton in graduate school at that point. So we support the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. People should support that. But we think the real thing we should also support, or I should say the other thing, because the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is real, But the other thing we need to have is same-day voter registration. Why is it that if a person is not registered, they can't go into the polling place, register right there, and cast their vote? There's no good reason. There's no good reason. You know, back in the 80s, when the idea first started getting currency, because, you know, this was one of Jesse Jackson's campaign planks when he ran in 84 and in 88. He was pushing for same-day registration. And, you know, people say, oh, we don't have the technology to support it, you know, blah, blah, blah. What's the excuse now?
Right. Right.
We got computers we can hold in our hands.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
these computers are more powerful than whole servers that existed in the 1980s. There's no reason why we shouldn't have same-day voter registration, because you got to understand.
There is one reason.
Go ahead.
It would make us stronger.
That's right. Thank you, brother. You opened my eyes. It will make us stronger.
Brother Hamm, what should we do with our vote, though?
What we should do, we should use it intelligently. And we should vote for progressive candidates in the primaries. See, most folks only think about the general election, the vote in November. When we get to November, it's against the Republican. It's the Democrat versus the Republican. It's done. But the primary is where you get progressive people who are trying to run. And we don't vote in the primary. Do you know that less than 10% of people vote in primary elections? Like, if we came out in the primaries the way we do in the general, we could elect a whole new slew of people who will support police review board with subpoena power, who will vote for the reparations bill, who will make same-day registration a law. But we don't vote in the primary. We must run progressive candidates who have a clearly articulated platform of progressive measures that they are going to fight for when they get elected, and we must vote for them. We must get them on the ballots in the primaries and vote for them. And it's going to be sharp. You know, I mean, for instance, why is it that in the United States is the most advanced? Well, I need to reverse it. I'll say it another way. The United States is the richest country in the world today. Of the 34 advanced industrial capitalist countries, I'm not even talking about socialist countries now, I'm talking about all the capitalist countries, 34. We are the only country that does not have free universal health care.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you an example. We had a candidates forum, and I'm not going to say the person's name because, you know, they're not there to defend themselves, but I'm going to tell this story. You know, we asked this person who was a congressperson. We said, are you for Medicare for all? That person said, I'm for Medicare for everybody who wants it. See, that's, you know, and people playing us cheap, man. Did they think they could say that to us and we wouldn't? This is why we don't have. Do you know that when Medicare was founded, the intent was, in fact, to extend it to the entire population over time? But they first had to get as much as they could get at that moment was for Medicare for the seniors. And they got that over the finish line. And the healthcare industry went to war. And how do they go to war? They go to war by paying lobbyists.
That's right.
To go to the politicians that we elect.
That's right. Money talk.
To convince them that you can't vote for this man. Do you know when I worked in the state house, because P.O.P was campaigning for Medicare for all back in the 80s when we were founded. Universal health care. Do you know one of the Democratic assemblymen grabbed me by the lapel of my suit jacket and said, don't you ever talk about that in these assembly chambers. You know why he was so agitated? Because he worked for Prudential.
That's right. That money
He
talk.
worked for Prudential.
Money talk.
We don't have universal health care because the insurance companies pay lobbyists and they make multi-million-dollar donations to politicians to get them not to vote for it. So how do we turn that around? We got to elect progressives to office.
And to do that, we have to get in those primaries.
We got to get in the primaries. And we got to support our people. Y'all had some people down there running for city council. You know, I mean.
Yeah, we did. You
know, you had some people who are progressive.
Right. That's right.
And we don't come out and vote for them. See, it's not only the candidates and the leaders, it's also something in the people we got to fix. You know, it's something in the people. Fix it. You know, I remember when Gibson ran the first time running for mayor in 1970. Well, it actually was his second time. He ran for mayor in 66 and lost. And he ran again in 69, well, in 70 and won. And I remember back then, Black people would tell you that a Black man can't be mayor of the city. Can't no Black man run this city. You know, we used to say, Kamau, you know, we're going to buy our ice from the white man.
There you go.
Because the white man's ice is colder.
Oh.
White man's ice.
Well,
and some of us still have that mentality.
Yeah, we do.
You know, I had to check myself one time. You know, I was going way across town to buy my breakfast. And there was a Black restaurant literally 2 blocks from my house. I had to check myself.
That's right. That's right. Hey, you know, people think that we're not infused with that propaganda, but we got it just as bad as everybody else. We just have to keep fighting against it.
Man, you know? I'm telling you. That's right. I'm telling you.
They're good at it.
You know,
they're very good at it.
We have to have, and this is what Baraka and Karanga and others were saying in the 60s, we got to have a cultural revolution too.
Yeah.
And this is what Dr. King was saying. When Dr. King was saying, we have to have a revolution of values. See, people misinterpret that. And they thought that, well, Dr. King really wasn't about transforming the system, but he understood the dialectic between the struggle for social change and the struggle to change ourselves. There's a dialectical relationship that we are in fact transformed. We are transformed. In the struggle to create a new world, we become a new people. And this cultural revolution is still important. I have, you know, and this is, Kamau, you know this, because you got your name, Kamau Kujichagulia, so everybody knows where you coming from, you know, but you understand this. See, if you're trying to build a revolutionary movement, you can't build a revolutionary movement among Black people and not teach Black history. Whether you do it in the school, whether you do it in your home, Black people have to have a knowledge of their history because our history is a revolutionary history. That's why they're trying to outlaw it right now.
That's right.
I mean, I couldn't believe this. Here we are in the 21st century. I thought the struggle for Black studies was over because every campus got a Black studies department.
That's right.
Now they're trying to outlaw. You know why they want to outlaw Black studies? Because Black history is the weapon against white supremacy. When you study Black history, you overthrow every premise of the white supremacist. And they know that. That's why they're going, I mean, can you believe this? We're in the 21st century and the governor of Virginia don't even want to put Dr. King in the curriculum. This is why I always supported everything King, because I knew that King was the chicken bone that would get stuck in the slave master's throat. Because when our people really start to read and study Dr. King and what he was saying, like read this book. Where do we go from here? Chaos or Community by Dr. King. When you read this, you will be like, damn, is this King or is this Malcolm?
Hey,
You know?
that's right.
And this is why here we are in the 21st century and people want to outlaw. They took Amiri Baraka out of the College Board AP curriculum. Can you imagine that? They took him out. They took out Angela Davis. They want to, if they can't keep our history from being taught, they want to revise our history so that it fits the white supremacist narrative. I mean, this is going on full force. This is the law. Like if you get caught trying to teach a lesson from James Baldwin in Florida right now, you can go to jail. Imagine that. I bet you James Baldwin is jumping for joy. I remember when I was with Amiri Baraka at one of his birthday parties. You know, he was reading some poetry and Amiri sat down, we was talking. I said, Amiri, you know, how do you keep writing this stuff? He said Adimu, because that's my African name. He said Adimu, he gave me my African name, you know. He said, Adimu, one day I want to write something that is so terrible that the government will outlaw it. He said, I want to write something like David Walker's Appeal. This is what he said to me. He said he wanted to write a 21st century David Walker's Appeal, something that would be so revolutionary that they would outlaw it. Then he would know that he had done his job. Because David, you could get killed in the South for having a copy of David Walker's Appeal. You know, the brothers that was working on ships was smuggling David Walker's Appeal. They would open up their coats and they would sew it into their coats and smuggle it into the South.
Yeah, powerful writing. One last question. Do you think we'll ever get any meaningful reparations?
I think we will get reparations. I can't predict the nature of it, but it's clearly, it's so deep now. Well, let me put it another way. It's deep enough at this point that Black people are going to keep fighting for it. I mean, HR 40, had there been a slightly different outcome in the last election, HR 40 was on deck to be passed by the House. You know, the sister, what's the sister? Jackson.
After 50 years?
After 50 years, it was on deck to pass the House. And then we turned around and lost the House. And guess where we lost the House at? I say we, it's not mine. I don't own it, you know. But guess where we lost the House at? In New York. That's what we lost. In New York, they lost 5 seats. And then gonna make my man, what's his name? The minority leader now, Jeffries. Gonna make him the minority leader. We lost the House. We lost 5 seats in New York because we really weren't paying to see. We got to start paying attention to politics, all aspects of politics, not just elections. We got to pay attention to when it's time for the census. We got to pay attention when they start drawing these lines, because that's where the gerrymandering takes place. We got to pay attention to the Supreme Court. They're getting ready to rule now on what's left of affirmative action. That ruling is going to come probably in May or June.
That's right.
You know, we got to pay attention to politics like we pay attention to football, like we pay attention to basketball, you know, because the life and death decisions are being made. And it's by virtue, and I don't say this derisively, but it's by virtue of ignorance that people don't know this. So we have to do shows like yours. Thank God for shows like yours, which attempt to bring this knowledge to people. But Black people got to be on the move. We got to rise up. We got to rise up and raise some hell, because my children have fewer opportunities than I had. Right. When I graduated from Princeton, I didn't have no student loan debt. My 3 daughters all graduated from Rutgers with $20,000 and $30,000 of student loan. That's not progress. That is not progress.
Yeah. I was looking at my niece, was sharing her student loan, and she had over almost $200,000 in
God.
student loan, and she's 50 years old. She's
Will
been out of
never
school
pay.
for decades.
You know what that's called? Indentured servitude.
Yeah, it is.
Which was another form of
you can't start
slavery.
off a life like that.
Indentured servitude.
Eh? My
And
Lord, my
this
Lord.
country is rich enough. This
It
should
is.
be on the Black agenda. The
Right.
abolition of student debt should also be one of the things on the Black agenda, because our children, they'll never leave mommy and daddy's house. They'll never leave
That's right.
because they can't afford it.
That's right.
Look, if you come out of college and you get a job making, let's just say you make $3,000 in a month, 1,000 of that is going to be what's it called, fringe. It's going to be your tax payment, your Social Security, your unemployment. It's going to be all the fringe. Fringe is about 1/3 of your salary. Then there's what's left. So that's about 2,000. So if you got $2,000 left and you got to pay the bank or the government 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 a month, what do you have left? You don't have enough for rent, a car. And this is real. This is not an exaggeration. This is not hyperbole. This is real.
That's right.
And it is a way of economically crippling Black people, but not just Black people, working people in general.
Yep.
You know, your daughter, how's she gonna, she'll be dead.
That's right.
But they can bail the banks out to
Yep.
the tune of $10 trillion.
That's right.
They can bail them out, but they can't bail out there. It's a disgrace. The United States is a retrograde capitalist country. It's not even a good capitalist country. We don't have the benefits in this country that people in other capitalist countries. Do you see what the people in France are doing? Do you see they marched in the millions? Do you know why they were marching in the millions in France? Because the government wanted to change the retirement age from 62 years to 64 years.
Brother, we're going to have to end it.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm going.
Sorry.
This is a madman.
This has been great. This has been simply great. We love it. We love it. We love you.
Excellent
Man.
hour.
Keep the 69. You get tired, don't you? You get tired, but you can't stop.
No, you can't stop. No, I got to finish this race, brother.
That's right.
I did. There was a time in my life when I tried to go in another direction.
Yep.
But the struggle pulled me back in.
That's
I was trying to make that corporate move, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And you know what happened? Abner Louima.
Okay.
Abner Louima.
Okay.
And that just, I'm here now and I might as well finish this race. Look, if I'm in the nursing home and I'm about ready to go, y'all put me in a wheelchair and take me to the closest demonstration because I want to die on the battlefield.
We love you, Larry. Man.
Love you too, brother.
Thank you, Mr. Hamm. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother Michael.
All right, my home. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this has been simply outstanding. Michael, what do you think? What do you think about this elder?
Mr. Hamm, he is a wonderful person, very strong. And basically he tells us what we need. And what's going on in Paterson, New Jersey right now is just, it's ridiculous.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
What's going on in the whole state of New Jersey is ridiculous. You know?
And I like what he says about voting also. I like what he says about voting. We need to do something with our vote. We need to unify our vote and put it out give it to the person that has the best Black agenda.
Right. And like he said, right here in Trenton, we had some outstanding candidates just ran for city council and didn't get elected. So we've got to become we've got to become smarter. We've got to become more aware of who people are and what they stand for. Exactly. And realize that they're fighting for you as opposed to fighting for a party. Okay?
Right.
You know?
Right? Because the Democrats have done nothing for us, but we continue to vote Democrat. And people get out there and are proud and beg everybody else to vote Democrat. And it's insane. It's crazy.
It's really sick.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. But the alternative is to vote Republican.
All right. And you know what? Really, the last time black people really got anything out of the state of New Jersey, I mean, anything good out of the state of New Jersey, was the last time. Not the last time Republicans were in, but back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, when Whitman came into office, we got Abbott money. Back then, we got Dick LaRosa won the Republican seat here in Mercer County, and he passed through the legislature. He got it passed through with the Republicans supporting it. A bill that gave black businesses a percentage of all state business. Okay, as soon as the Democrats came back in, they cut that out. It's oh no, we can't do that. So we need to be very, very wary about the people we put in office. Who's next week?
Ooh, Pop.
Huh?
Don't put me on the spot like that.
I got you on the spot.
You got me on the spot. My computer died, so I can't look to the left.
Tony, who we got next week? Yannick Wood.
Yannick Wood.
Who's Yannick Wood? You know him?
I don't know the brother.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we're gonna meet him. We're gonna meet him, and we're gonna talk to him, and we're gonna hear what he got to say.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So next Thursday, 8:00, right here on the case with Kamau Kujichagulia and Michael Harmon. Okay, Yannick Wood, director of. Powerful brother.
We got another one.
Yes. We getting there now. We getting there. We on the case. You know? We on the case. This is what I like. So next week, we're gonna have Yannick. He's gonna be here talking with us. All right?
Yes.
Everyone, thank you for being with us. We appreciate, we really appreciate and love Brother Larry Hamm, man.
Excellent conversation.
He's been out there on the streets fighting for 52 years, and you got to tip your hat to that. Yep. Not only do we have to tip our hat to it, we got to support. We got to stand up because he's an elder now. We got to stand up for our elders, all these young brothers and sisters back there. Come on, we need you. We need you to support what has gone on before you. Okay, because you standing on some tough shoulders there, brothers and sisters. Okay, so we appreciate all you young people, all you old people, all you babies. We really appreciate everybody that has supported us. There's my grandson. Love him. Hot damn.
There he is. What's up, nephew?
Okay, so we'll see you next Thursday, 9:00.
8:00.
And we just gonna get more and more powerful.
On the case with Kamau Kujichagulia and co-host Michael Harmon.
Peace, my brother. Peace.